The Conservatives are having their policy convention this weekend, and they say it's their largest in-person convention ever. Delegates say they're united and they are determined to defeat you. His message appears to be resonating, and he's consistently higher in the polls. Why do you think that your message and your brand does not appear to be connecting as well as it once did?
Well, first of all, on domestic politics, we have a lot of ministers on the ground commenting on that in a blow by blow. My focus very much continues to be making sure we're building a better future for Canadians. That's what brings us to this region. That's why the success of the Canada-ASEAN partnership, seeing significant more opportunities for Canadian businesses to invest and create growth here in the region, but also drawing in partners who are interested in investing in Canadian success and creating jobs for Canadians is so key. We are seeing right now a really difficult time, not just for Canadians, but for people all around the world. And the need that we have to continue to stand up as a strong voice for the things that matter, that keep people safe, that keep the economies growing, and engage responsibly and constructively here, are things that really do matter to Canadians.
People are having a really, really hard time. I did that. He's just saying effectively. So more non-answers, but it is good to actually see, despite the non-answers, we can ask questions and Trudeau can give his non-answers. But when you start to see everybody asking questions and Trudeau's giving non-answers, hopefully people will clue in that there's a bit of a pattern there if they haven't over the last however many years. But what's it like to see to hear a question from a journalist that's not from Rebel News or one of the other independent media outlets that actually sounds like a real question?
Well, looking at that clip, and this is speculation, of course, but I think Trudeau realizes that he's done. I think he really realizes it now that his time is over. Like, what do we see him do there? Obviously, it's his standard practice non-answer, but it was a little more than that. It was a little, in my opinion, it felt a little more depressed than his average answer. And I think that's indicative of him realizing his time is over. I really do think it's only a matter of time. We can't expect anything different from him. We've seen even through his, the phases of his life, let's call it, he's still the same arrogant, I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of bad words to say about him. He's a very arrogant guy. And his skills as a drama teacher really excel. You can see it every single day. That's the only thing he does, is he puts on a face. It's truly sad, because we need somebody who has some kind of ability to do something. I know Pierre Poilievre, I mean, he used to be the housing minister. He actually has a foot in something that might actually do some good for somebody, instead of being, I'm sure there's, a lot of value in drama teachers, etc. But this particular one, that is his entire career, is a drama teacher. And, I guess it served him well, because it got him the position of prime minister. But it's the same thing with any narcissist. They can't spend too much time in any given workspace for too long a time, because everyone's going to catch up and realize, oh, wait a minute, you're not the nice, friendly guy you led on to believe, and you're going to have to go somewhere else now.
Yeah. Sunny ways eventually lead to sunburns, is I think what we're talking about here. And yeah, it is surreal. I would love to just see if there could be an analytical breakdown of how many questions he's been asked versus whether he's answered them in any qualifiable way. Like, I'm sure he'd get like an F- grade on actually directing answers to questions sent his way. Speaking of someone else who is completely disjointed from reality and an actor, we've got a bunch of videos of Stephen Guilbeault, who is now so desperate that he's running stunts outside of conservative conventions in order to garner some traction and to get some attention for his party. It didn't seem to go exactly as he planned, I think. So we've got a bunch of clips. This is just coming down today of Stephen Guilbeault doing this guerrilla press conference outside of the conservative convention. So let's jump to some of those clips and react.
There's energy in this crowd that doesn't that I can't imagine seeing in the Liberal convention. There's an energy and excitement around Poilievre. What is the future of Mr. Trudeau in your party?
I have full confidence in the Prime Minister. I'm here because of the Prime Minister. This is true of all the colleagues that I have spoken to. He is the reason why we're here. He's the reason why we won in 2015, in 2019, in 2021. I support and will continue to support the Prime Minister.
He believes in man-made climate change and Justin Trudeau and the flying spaghetti monster. He's a true like follower. Like he'll go down with Trudeau, I think. Don't you?
Yeah, well, and you can hear it there. He's like, yeah, I'm here because Trudeau told me to be here. Guys, come on, like I have to be here. And you know, it's funny actually. You hear this kind of language from him in some of the old Greenpeace footage that they have on their website in the archives, I guess it were. And he's sitting there in front of the oil stand, Stephen Guilbeault, and he's talking about, oh, you're bad, they're bad, this and that. But then there's someone behind the camera who's kind of telling him how to say it and what to do. He's coaching Guilbeault along with it. Really just a follower mentality on this guy. And it's sad to see what kind of attitude he presents. And, you know, he mentions how he's out there at the conservative gathering there. There was another event that was parallel to this that the Liberals put on. And there was like 12 people in the audience. Probably the same size venue, but the numbers are absolutely staggeringly different. The amount of people that are coming out and engaging with the Liberal Party versus the Conservative Party. But yeah, no, again, what does he say there? I'm here because Trudeau basically sent me here. He's not a man with a lot of initiative.
Yeah, well, it's true. He's a true believer, and he'll go down all the way. Now, there's no doubt why he's a believer here. I mean, look at the connections he has. Guilbeault in this next clip. You know what? Let's just run the clip on his communist China connections with their climate policies and react. Theoretically, we're queuing it up, I guess. But as you know, oh, there we go. Okay.
Mr. Guilbeault, why do you attack Canadian natural resources when you are participating in the Communist Party of China Climate Forum and refuse to confront them on their practices, like the billion they are investing into coal-fired electricity?
Well, actually, the council was created in 1992. And when Pierre Poilievre was a cabinet minister, his colleague, the Minister of Environment, occupied this. The environment ministers under Stephen Harper occupied the same position I do now as environment minister. In fact, the last environment minister of the Harper government praised the council for the work that it's done to help China tackle its environmental problems. And in fact, on the work plan of the council over the next year, we will be working to tackle coal use in China. We will be working on carbon pricing. So everything you just said that is simply not true. You mentioned it.
So simply not true. She asked a question about attacking Canadian resources while defending China. It's categorically true what Alexa Lavoie, our journalist, asked to Stephen Guilbeault there. The fact is that Alberta has a plan, unlike the Liberals, unlike the federal government, to get to net zero by 2050. They're actually implementing a strategy. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I don't care about getting to net zero, but we actually have a plan to do it. The federal government doesn't. They're just saying 2035 with no sort of basis or reality, as their cities pollute and dump sewage directly into the ocean, and conservative cities don't tend to do those things quite so much. But he also said on that council that 2060 is completely fine for China. So 2050 with a plan in place, accepting the net zero narrative for Alberta, not good. Alberta bad. 2060 for China, we're our number one export to is coal, and they're burning Canadian coal in China right now and polluting. That's completely okay. Alberta, though, bad. That's the crux of this. That is Stephen Guilbeault's perspective in a nutshell. And yeah, just a correction, Mr. Guilbeault. Alexa Lavoie is correct. You are incorrect.
Yeah, well, and if you want to see the state of affairs in Canada when it comes to energy and the environment, just look no further than Alberta. And as you mentioned, Adam, like you got countries like China. Canada is the second largest country in the world. We might only have 50 million people, but we got a lot of land. You contrast that to places like India, places like China, and the sheer volume of people that reside there, and the sheer industrial machinery and the kinds of energy that they're using. It's a much different ballgame, and it's It's not to say, and I'm not putting it out there that they should stop any of the things that they're doing, but if you want to save the planet, I mean, you'd have better luck lobbying a couple million Chinese people than you will an entire country of Canada. We need to survive. We don't have a lot of leeway here. We live in one of the coldest countries in the world. If it's a little too cold out there and you don't have heat, you die. That's not, anything past science 101. We need to make sure that we survive, and part of that is energy consumption. This is something that the Trudeau Liberals blatantly ignore. They say that you can just live off of solar energy and windmills, and then you actually look at the energy and how that affects the system. It doesn't. You look at the tidal energy they try and implement in Prince Edward Island. They always talk about how environmentally friendly it is. It doesn't make more than 1% of their energy, and the energy that they do use comes from another province, and it's all coal or diesel generated. So this whole environmental fantasy is exactly that, a fantasy. And why would they implement it? Well, it's because that gives them more government regulation, more controls like that, more taxes that they can implement to say that they're going to save the planet by stealing your money and putting it towards their buddy's project.
Hey folks, that was a clip from the daily live stream. I co-host it Monday to Thursday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Alberta team takes over on Friday. Please tune in. And by the way, we want to hear your 2 cents worth. If you're able to make a minimal $5 donation, we will read your chat on the air live. Thank you.
Justin Trudeau's new censorship law, Bill C-18, it's a shakedown and a desperate attempt to keep the mainstream media afloat. Many have already lost their ability to access our Facebook and Instagram pages. The blackout will soon affect every user in Canada. We've partnered with Private Internet Access, a VPN provider dedicated to safeguarding digital privacy. For just $2 a month, you can maintain your access to our content across all your devices at piavpn.com/rebelnews.